Inspirational Creatives, episode 250. Welcome to Inspirational Creatives. I'm your host, Rob Lawrence. Join me every Friday as I chat with successful artists, producers, and creative entrepreneurs who share powerful stories and strategies. They can help you to create the life that you want. Listen each week as these inspirational creatives show you how to take your creativity to the next level. You'll learn how to create a sustainable business that inspires others and gives you the financial freedom and lifestyle that you want. Thanks for listening. Make sure you sign up at inspirationalcreatives.com to get free exclusive bonus material. And now, on with the show. Rob here, and welcome to another short action episode on the Inspirational Creatives podcast. Today in this short action episode, we're going to talk about the creative process and how to fire up and maintain momentum with your creativity. This isn't just another short action episode. Of course, it's episode 250. And whilst I've given it a great deal of thought about doing something special with this particular episode, I rested on the idea of sticking to the original format for now, because I've got some great wisdom to share with you today on how to build a powerful creative process, one that will keep you motivated and acting upon your best ideas week in and week out. Before we get stuck in, if you're new to Inspirational Creatives, these short action episodes, which appear every Wednesday, are designed to help you take some small, life-changing action towards living the life that you want. The idea is that these seemingly small ideas can have a big impact on your life, and I hope for you that today's wisdom is no exception. I'm also pleased to share with you that this episode 250, is the first episode on Inspirational Creatives that has a sponsor. Today's sponsor is Libsyn. Libsyn is the podcast hosting platform that the Inspirational Creatives podcast has been hosted on since day one when it launched in November 2014. Today, Inspirational Creatives is still reaching the world reliably, some 3.5 years and 250 episodes in. Now, if you're thinking of starting a podcast and you're looking for a podcast host, you might want to consider Libsyn. If you'd like to give it a try, I'm pleased to share with you the promo code CREATIVE, that's the word creative, which you can use at libsyn.com. That promo code will give you up to 2 months free trial. If you apply the code CREATIVE at libsyn.com, you'll get a full month's free trial plus the remainder of the month that you're in when you apply the code. And if you're just starting out in podcasting and you'd like some help with all of this, don't hesitate to email me at rob@inspirationalcreatives.com, and if you put podcast support in the subject heading, I'll be back in touch with you. So in episode 249, I spoke with branding expert Ulli Appelbaum about how to tell your brand story in a creative way. In our chat, Ulli revealed to me some of the biggest mistakes that brands make and why empathy is important when it comes to positioning your brand in the right way. Now, if you're an independent artist or a creative or an entrepreneur and you're thinking, well, I don't have a brand, you'd be mistaken. Who you are and what you have to offer is your brand. So it's really important to pay attention to how you and your work are showing up in the world today, particularly if you want to reach the right people in the right way. So Ulli and I discussed a variety of approaches when it comes to positioning a brand, and we had an interesting conversation on how his unique flashcards help people to understand how they could be better telling their brand story in more creative and interesting ways. But today I'd like to talk about the creative process, which is something that we discussed too. I'd like to begin by sharing with you some of what Ulli had to say in episode 249.
What most people either don't think about or are not aware of about is there is rigor behind creativity, right? So we like the myth of I was sitting in my bathtub and then I had this brilliant idea. I'm a genius, That works for one person in a billion. And my guess it's going to be that this person, it's going to be not going to be you, me, or your listeners, or 99.9% of the people living on Earth. Once you understand that, and once you understand that behind creativity, there is a process you can go through, there is a rigor you can apply that is going to lead to creative thinking, creative problem solving, or simply just creative solutions. It's in a sense very liberating because, you don't have just to sit there, stare at the wall and think, okay, why is no idea coming? Well, maybe you should do these 3 things to get to an idea and see what happens then. And if that doesn't work, you can do 3 more things, but you're going to come out with more creative thoughts than if you just wait for it to happen in a sense.
So in this short action episode, I want to share with you some of Ulli's best tips on how to fire up and maintain momentum with your creativity so that you can keep your mind in a creative place when you're thinking about all aspects of your brand and creative work. I asked Ulli in episode 249 about his creative process, and here are the 2 tips he initially gave me. Stay tuned, however, because he also gave some great advice when I asked him about what advice he would give to his younger self, which I will share with you before the end of this short episode. So here's Ulli's first tip.
It's going to sound weird, but for me, it's 2 things I've learned. One is just start doing things. Just, you want to write an article, you want to write cards, you struggle with it, just sit down and write your thoughts down. Just get your juices flowing. And that usually gets you, at least me, within 10 or so minutes, gets me into the right mindset, then gets me going. And that doesn't mean that whatever I'll produce that day is going to be perfect, but if I come back to it the following day, it's going to be enough inspiration to make it better or to make it the way I want it to be. So that is number 1.
The first tip Ulli had to share with us is to just start doing things, to make time for your creativity. I'd add to this by recommending that you set a regular time aside each day to focus on your creative work, whatever that work may be or involve. Whilst Ulli is realistic in the sense that he suggests that it's unlikely you'll always come up with a world-changing, groundbreaking idea every time you get down to your creative work, making time for your creativity is important when it comes to getting your best ideas realised. I'd also add that you never know when creative inspiration is going to strike. If you regularly make time for your creativity, I believe inspiration is more likely to strike the more action you take and the more creative you are. For tips on capturing inspiration in the moment, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com, click on the button at the top that says episodes, and look for episode 232, where I spoke with Natalia Comis about exactly that. Going back to my chat with Ulli in episode 249, here's Ulli's second tip about firing up your creativity and maintaining momentum with your creative work.
Accept your emotions in a sense. Is when you're an entrepreneur, when you build a business, there's a lot of stress involved with that. There's a lot of fear involved and insecurities involved with that. Is even now I've had these cards for a couple of years now, and they're actually selling extremely well. But every time I see like a negative comment online, in one of these anonymous forums, it hurts me still. So there's still a lot of sort of like doubts involved with it. But what I've learned is they are part of the process as well. So there are days, for example, I'll feel, fully energized, fully creative, the juices are flowing, and I'll just go in 200%. And then there are days where I'll be stressed out, nervous, I'll doubt, when I'm writing a blog post, I'm going to think that sucks, it's really uninteresting. And I've learned that accepting those feelings and accepting that you have to go through them to come out of them again is what the creative process is all about. You know what I mean? And it is often said as well, it's like once you try to deal with a problem you are trying to solve, you get stuck. And then you let it sit for a day or 2 or even a week. And then all of a sudden it comes back to you with a tremendous amount of clarity. That's for me a similar thing. It's like go with it, accept the confusion, the stress associated with it, and trust that you will come out of it with a better idea or better thought. Or even if the thought sucks after the process, you've learned something along the way. You know what I mean? So you come out always better off than you started. So it's really just start doing and accept the roller coaster of emotions you'll be going through to come out at the end.
Ulli suggests that there's lots of fear, doubts and insecurity in creative work and creative entrepreneurship. And he suggests that these emotions are part of the creative process. Ulli's learned that by accepting these feelings, allowing them to be, is what a lot of the creative process is all about. So, for example, if you're feeling stressed or confused about what you're working on right now, or even in life right now, or if you're feeling a project or an idea just isn't working right now, it's not going in the direction that you want it to, or it's not a good one if you're judging it that way, simply accept the emotions and trust that they will lead you to new insights and better ideas. In episode 249, I asked Ulli what advice he would give to a younger self, with all that he has learned through his experience spending 20 years working in branding and marketing. Here's what he shared with me.
Don't follow the crowd. And that is getting bigger and bigger issue with social media. In marketing and advertising, we love these buzzwords. We love these trendy new terms. And my experience is in 90% of these cases, in 6 months, you're going to have new terms, new buzzwords, and it's just going to be a cycle of the latest fads. And I think great marketing and great brands stay away from there. And as I said earlier, focus on the humans and their core motivations, and maybe bring to life their idea in a way, in an execution, in a filming format or in a style that taps into a fad. But the core is still focused on the human beings and their drivers. So my advice would really be stay away from the mainstream buzz, the crowd behavior. That doesn't lead to great thinking.
So when it comes to inspiring your creativity, Ulli suggests not following the crowd. This reminds me of the great wisdom that I once heard about not following the competition and paying attention to your own efforts and inspiration. As Ulli suggests, great marketing, great brands, and indeed great creative ideas and art stay away from fads. That doesn't mean the delivery of great creative work doesn't have to follow some kind of trend or an expected platform as such. It does mean that great ideas are often based upon human motivations, fresh inspiration, and great thinking. Before we wrap up, I'd like to share with you two final pieces of Ulli's wisdom from episode 249 when it comes to firing up your creativity, finding great ideas, and getting your creative work done.
When you talk to people, you have so many people out there that tell you, oh, I have this great idea, or I wish I could do that, or I'm going to do that when I retire, or, when the kids are out of the house. And for me, those are just excuses for not doing something. And I've learned if you want to do something, just do it. Find a clever way to do it. I mean, don't throw overboard everything else, but find a smart way to just get done, even if it sucks. At least you'll be proud to have it done, to have done it, as opposed to just continue to dream what would happen if I do this and this. That's for me one of the saddest thing a human being can do is, look back at his life and wish I had done all these kind of things. And just do them. No one but you prevents you from doing that, unless you are like a single mom of 3 children that has 3 jobs to sustain her family. Anyone beyond that, for me, should be doing what they really want to do when they feel like doing it, as opposed to trying to defer it or find excuses for not doing it.
What I love about Ulli's advice is that truly creative people are smart about finding ways at doing their creative work. They're not filled with excuses or finding ways to defer what's most important to them. When it comes to creating great things and putting new ideas out into the world, as Ulli suggests, you just have to do it. Finally, to wrap up, here's Ulli talking about the importance of having a creative process behind you.
Once you understand that, and once you understand that behind creativity there is a process you can go through, there is a rigor you can apply that is going to lead to creative thinking, creative problem solving, or simply just creative solutions, it's in a sense very liberating, because you don't have just to sit there, stare at the wall and think, okay, why is no idea coming? Well, maybe you should do these 3 things to get to an idea and see what happens then. And if that doesn't work, you can do 3 more things, but you're going to come out with more creative thoughts than if you just wait for it to happen, in a sense.
So behind creativity is a process. As Pavarotti once said, it's not about discipline, it's about devotion. Taking action is liberating. To get to an idea, you need to take action, and you may need to crunch through many ideas to get to a great idea. To fire up your creativity and to get momentum behind your creative work, Ulli suggests taking action. As Ulli has shared with us today in this episode 250, the best way forward when it comes to getting your creative work done and your best ideas out there into the world is not to follow the crowd and to accept the emotions that come with the creative process. Every worthwhile creative endeavour is likely to be an emotional experience, yet it's our ability to navigate those calm and choppy waters that will lead us to the manifestation of great ideas to share with the world. By not focusing on the perceived competition, by not spending too much time worrying about what everyone else or somebody else is doing and how they're doing it, we can focus on what we truly value and what we're best at by following our own lead towards finding our own voice, style and talent, one that could change the world. Good luck taking action today. Thank you for joining me on this episode 250. If you'd like to hear more of what Ulli had to say, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com, look for the button at the top and click on the button where it says episodes, and look for episode 249 to hear the full chat that I had with him. To learn more about Ulli and his work, head on over to first-the-trousers.com, where you can find out more about Ulli and his good work there. Let me know how these ideas resonated with you today by dropping me an email at rob@inspirationalcreatives.com, and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks for listening. Nothing beats the stories and advice of an expert to help you raise your creative game. I would love to know what you thought about today's episode, so don't forget to subscribe in iTunes, where you can rate and review the show. If you like this episode, I invite you to share it on Facebook or Twitter with the one person you know who will benefit from the wisdom shared here today. You can find the show notes on inspirationalcreatives.com/podcast. If you have a burning question or a great idea for a guest, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact, where you can connect with me there.